Hey, welcome back to the channel. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. Let me know where y'all from and who you a fan of, man. So Jay Prince and Offset, everybody getting into it. Y'all got to understand that when they came out and talked about that in the interview, even Boosie said himself that they should have had no business talking about all of that and, getting into it like that because he doesn't like to see the OGs speaking like that. And they used to get on Boosie's case talking about why they speak on it. And so at the end of the day, Offset doesn't want anything to do and no more back and forth because he realizes that if people end up trying him or anything like that, he's going to know who came from. Jay Prince Jr. and them wanted to have the power to be able to make people check in and tell them what to do. And even if they signed to QC, it didn't matter. They wanted to have some sort of percentage or control and all of that because they the ones who put them on with Drake. And without that happening, they don't think that their careers would have took off as the way it did because it skyrocketed them right to the forefront and to the mainstream. And next thing you know, it's like that wave never fell off and you got the bad and bougie and this and that. So somewhere in the background, behind the scenes in some type of offices and the cubicles or whatever, they got something saying, that it could be allegedly, technically, that they might be getting a cut out of the whole Migos the whole entire time. And that's why it was always situations in there because deep down in the meetings that they had at the QC headquarters and everything, they knew that they had to split it up between all of them. And even though they helped a long time ago, they still wanted a cut from everything just because, they wanted to support back then, but it was never written down that you had to be this way or that way or anything like that. And so they just try to force it upon themselves to go and take a percentage out of it or whatnot. And so, what people are saying is that is connections between that, because if you just look back, you already know that Jazz Prince was the one who basically discovered Drake to get him towards the music when he heard him, because look at him. He looks like he listened to Drake all the time. He a Drake type of person. And so what's going on is that when they had that network connection and then they heard the Migos, and somehow somebody had to, they had to see them in some sort of way. So when the Migos had their early little popping rise on their own organically, then boom, they're like, okay, let's put the two together. Well, Drake wanted to hop on the verse only because they told him to through Mob Tide, through Jay Prince and Junior and all of them. Because technically at that time they was managing him and whatnot, and that's what's being, that's what was being reported. And so now when you fast forward, all of a sudden Drake want to hop on these dudes' song, and it's like, dang, what made Drake want to do that? Well, the mastermind behind all of that was basically coming out of Houston. And, they were like running these plays and stuff to make that happen. And once it happened, it did turn up being like a hit and everything. And so from that hit, that's when, boom, the Migos started getting a lot of popularity. And so back that thing when they made that Drake connection, that's when they got their chance to put it down on ink that they were going to get some sort of cut and some sort of this. That's officially that they officially had to do business with the two businesses. And then, boom, that's when they wrote in. So basically this whole time, and y'all didn't even know, they could have been getting paid through or getting some sort of like 10%, management fees and all those charges that they would charge the rappers, all the invoice fees and this management and supervision fees. And so it's all sorts of little ways that they could be finessing to get their back end. And so that's what it is. Everybody talk about, oh, you get the front end and back end. The front end is when you get, like the deposit, basically, the down payments and things like that. The back end is after you complete the project, after the thing is done, the hit is made and all that kind of stuff. You get the back end is you come back to collect. And those are what's basically going on, is that they got a back end on the situation for Migos this whole entire time. And so that's why, people got special interests and special little ulterior motives and everything like that. So that's one of the ulterior motives that they had to be even hanging around the Migos, was the fact that they was getting bread through whatever that they was able to get them to do. And so they had a hand in all that. And that's why they could get them to come down there and check it. Like, who would want to even go somewhere to go and have to check in and all that? And so that's why they were going down there because they had obligations and whatnot. So they were tied up in the whole situation where they had to go and fulfill all of that because they didn't have no choice. It was all part of their rise and the way that they got to fame. A lot of people, it was a lot of things that you would have to basically give up and to make it to the stardom level that they wanted to. And so those are one of those things. And it's just another example of that. And, with all of that being said, basically, it's an ongoing situation. Like, you got to look at it from the long run of how long this whole thing has been in motion for. And then for it to pop up now, it's not randomly that they were all with the Prince family and Jay Prince and them and like the brothers and everything throwing a birthday. And for this to happen, they hang out with them on a frequently basis. It's pictures all over Facebook with them hanging together. So it's been times where they probably played numerous dice games. They've had many chances to get 50K, 30K, 80K off of Quavo and Offset, and and I know that from what we all know, Takeoff normally didn't like to participate in those dice games because he already knows he probably used to play dice games way more than all of them. He already knows what happens with all of that, the outcomes, and what you're putting in is not a good outcome, and those type of things. So he's not involving himself in that, and so they noticed that. So they didn't really get a lot from him. And so they had to finesse Offset and Quavo even more. And that's why them two got a way more rougher relationship with Jay Prince Jr. and all of them. And you've seen in the past and everything. But all in all, they've had the ups and the downs and everything like that. But you got to look at it in the long run of the whole thing is that they've been connected for a minute now. And so it's like it's nothing new and nothing like that. And so it's like you got to watch that crowd that they were hanging out with ultimately is what got them caught up in certain situations. Point blank and period. At the end of the day, you can't be moving like that with, you gotta move where in a certain way where you can't be getting caught up with these people doing these other things and having it to where you go to their function and then if something happened at the function, you gotta be in control of all those things and not have to be like, okay, we got to go down there and see them and stuff because they had their friendship and their business all mixed together like that to where, okay, yeah, they were hanging out and partying with them, but at the same time, they was getting bread through them doing shows and doing these hits and putting Drake on this and that. And so with all that, it's like they can't even get away from them. And so ultimately, time and time again, the statistics play out and then something finally happened because you took enough chances and then you finally hit that. Just like how people be going and trying to hit gambling and boom, finally over and over again until they hit something. But it's not a lottery. It was nothing, nobody won in this situation. And Quavo's sister knows what's going on. That's why she told him to stop going after and going back and forth with Offset because it's not going to make anything better. At this point, the Migos was broken up. And so what you got to understand is that they all doing their own thing now. That's why it's like they got the time now to go and argue with Jay Prince and them and Jay Prince Jr. and all that because now they're not in the studio no more. Unless they was doing like the McDonald's commercial that Offset did with Cardi B and everything. It's like they trying to make it so that they turn them into the new Blueface and Krishan Rock. It's like they trying to keep that and like have everybody in those type of relationships and whatnot. But then on the other hand, Quavo doing his own songs and doing his own little sneak disses and everything, saying that the Migos is done ever since Takeoff left and all that. And, as some of it is true and some of it is like, no, that they're not even hinting at getting back together or like that they're going to amend. Because when the family reunion comes up for Quavo and Offset's side of the family, then maybe that's when you're going to see him again. And who knows what's going to happen then because you already seen him at the Grammys. You already seen him do this and do that. And so now it's like after all that beef with the Prince family and all that, they're pretty much at this point done and having to go and do their own projects. They're trying to do their own albums now. And it's going to be interesting because you're going to see the whole industry they're going to have to pick and choose like who's Lil Baby going to do the song with. Is he going to do it more with Takeoff or Offset or is he going to do it more with Quavo? And so it's like other things too, other artists. So it's going to be interesting where somebody is going to end up working with both of them. And then Quavo is going to come out and say something like, oh, this dude is working with the ops or whatever like that. And then they're going to just turn that into a whole nother situation, which is all unnecessary anyways. And so with all that being said, man, make sure you guys got to subscribe to this channel, like this video, comment down below. Let me know where y'all from, who you a fan of, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace.